Hey guys, this is Arsenal Giants PS3 and welcome to my Everton 2012-2013 FIFA 13 squad rating for Everton FC. Now this is going to be quite a weird one. Everton obviously had a tough season last year. They really did struggle at the start, but then found their feet towards the end with the signing of Jelavic. And they have lost a couple of players. You know, today for me is the 12th of August, and Rodwell has been linked with a move away to Manchester City for around 20 million. Apparently, the first reports have just come through, and that is, that's going to be a tough one, really. Rodwell struggled to impose himself on the Everton first team. I'm not too sure how he's going to do at Manchester City, but it's one of those tough ones where they lose a younger player, and it's happened before to a Manchester club not too long ago, 2004, I think it was, when Wayne Rooney left Everton to Manchester United, and for quite a lot of money as well. But I just find that when it comes to Everton, they are often seen as a selling club, and I think that's unfair. They're a good team. They also did lose Cahill as well, who's a bit of a legend. So let's go into the squad. And first up, we have this man, Tim Cahill. What one about? Tim Howard. Tim Howard is such a good goalkeeper for me. He's so versatile. He's rankly underrated, I do believe, because he's consistent. He's not over erratic. He doesn't go for the crazy saves, but he doesn't make too many mistakes as well. And for that reason, I think Tim Howard deserves to be one of the better goalkeepers. And 82 seems about right for Tim Howard. He's a very good goalkeeper who's often underrated. Next up we have Phil Neville. Now Phil Neville, I thought had actually retired. I wasn't too sure. I had to wiki it. I couldn't remember if he had retired, but I think it's Tony Hibbert which is actually retired or is retiring, something along the lines of that. But Phil Neville is a good player. I've just kept him at the same level purely because he's one of those players which does a good job. He's not getting any better. He's not getting any worse. Certain defenders just seem to mature and stay around the same level. I think Neville is definitely a pretty good player, but not anywhere near the best right backs in the league. Next up we have Phil Jagielka, a player who I admire. I just think Jagielka is super consistent. His career has been destroyed at times through injury, and I reckon if he didn't have those injuries, he genuinely could be one of the better centre-backs England have ever had, really. I think he definitely had that criteria, but he just struggled after his injuries, and that's a real shame. But I think overall Jagielka is a very good player who's often overlooked, and that's why I think he should have about an 81. He's not quite as good as, your 84s or 85s or 86 like John Terry or Company or something like that, but he's also not shit. So I think 81 is fair enough for Jagielka, and the same really goes for Heitinger. He epitomises that nitty-gritty footballing tenacity that the Dutch team of 2010 had. He actually got sent off in the final, if I can remember rightly, and he is a very good player. He did have a tough time at Euro 2012, but I think he is a very strong, commanding centre-back, really, and he deserves the praise he gets. I mean, he's not the tallest of guys, but he's definitely a very good, he's 5'11". He is a very good centre-back, and I think, again, it's the same with Jagielka. He's not one of the best centre-backs in the league, but he's not one of the shittest ones. He's right there in the, one of the better centre-backs, but not the best. Next up we have Leighton Baines, another player who's so underrated. I find I say that a lot with Everton, purely because they are rankly underrated as a team in general, really. They always seem to do well, despite the fact they never spend massively. And Baines is just such a good player, really. I mean, he burst onto the scene after scoring that beautiful free kick against Man United, I think it was, for Wigan. And he's good going forward, he's good at the back, and he's just Mr. Consistent, really. You never really see him making mistakes, and it's such a shame that we've got Ashley Cole. It's a credit to Ashley Cole, really, that Baines doesn't start the England squad, because in any other country I'm sure he'd be tying down that left back spot. He's such a good player, and I think 82 is about right, really. He's not one of the best left backs, but he's around that level, and he's growing to that level, and I think 82 is about right, and 82 rare would do him well. Next up we've got Seamus Coleman. Seamus Coleman is one of those players which had a good 2011 season. I don't know what I found that funny. Had a good 2011 season. Struggled this year. Struggled in the 2012-11 season, and he's one of those players. 18 games, didn't score anything. He was used at right back a couple of times. Was used at right mid. He really needs to, get his feet on the ground, kind of get some consistent form out, and he'll be quite a good player. I do quite like watching Seamus Coleman. He is a good player, and I think 76. I think that's what he was last year. I think that's about right, really. Doesn't really deserve a downgrade for one dodgy season. Doesn't really deserve an upgrade. I think 76 is fair enough. He is he's about that level. Next up we have Fellaini. This one's a bit screwed up. Fellaini for me should be an 82. I don't know. I think it's because I'm playing him in centre mid. Maybe I did it for central defensive mid or something. I'm not sure. But Fellaini, not going with the screen, should, in my opinion, be an 82. He's such a good player. I mean, he's a commanding midfielder, and I think, you know, if Belgium really do kind of live up to the expectations of that team, with like Hazard and Mertens, how do you say it? Mertens is the other one. If they live up to that kind of expectation, he will be a central part of that team. He's underrated again, Fellaini. He's just such a good commanding midfielder, and that was kind of like epitomised last season by his performance at Old Trafford when they drew 4-4. He was absolutely sensational, and he just destroyed that Man United midfield. So Fellaini definitely deserves a lot more praise than he gets, and I'll give him an 82. Next up we have Leon Osman, or sometimes dubbed as the English Iniesta. I don't know if that's just because they haven't got much hair, or the fact that they're both quite small, but Leon Osman is a good player. Again, he's been at Everton for a long time, and he's good at just kind of, he's a versatile midfielder, can play all over the park, he's a good passer, he's in and out of teams, in and out of their midfields. You know, he's quite good dribbler, and he just generally dictates the play a lot for Everton when they're struggling. And I think, yeah, again, he deserves to be one of the higher level 70s. I think 79 is about right for him. Maybe a rare, maybe not, I'm not sure. Because he is just underrated, I think, as a midfielder. People look past him, but he is partly why Everton did so well. And he did get 4 goals from midfield as well, so he's not a bad shooter. He definitely deserves to be given a bit of an upgrade. Next up we have Pienaar. Had a torrid time at Spurs, but as soon as he came back to Everton, shined again, and I can't remember who it was, might have been Chelsea, not too sure, where he scored twice and got that in form. But he definitely is one of those players which just doesn't quite get the credit he deserves. He's somewhat of a legend for Everton, really. He's been there quite a while, and he's done so well. And I think they did get him back permanently this year. I can't quite remember whether it's permanent or another loan, but he is, whatever happens, when he plays for Everton, he's great. And I think, you know, 80's about right, because he's not one of those players which is so consistent. They do it week in, week out. So I think 80's about right, yeah, because he's not, when he plays amazing and he can destroy teams. But when he's when he's not in his best, then he struggles to really impose himself on the game. So I'd say 80's about spot on for him, maybe an 81. But yeah, I'd say 80's good for him. Next up we have Stephen Naismith, one of their signings, their second signing, I think. And Naismith is actually a very, very good player. For Everton fans that don't know, 9 goals in 11 games for Rangers in the SPL before they went under. And he's just a very, very talented kind of player just to play behind the striker, really, Naismith. And he'll be linking up with Jelavic, his old Rangers clubmate. But yeah, Naismith is good at just scoring goals, really. He's got an eye for goal. And he's quite young as well, and I just think he's one of those players which deserves to be one of those very, very good non-rares. A bit better than Goodwill he was last year for Blackburn, if that makes sense. So I think 77 is fair enough. He should be a revelation for not Rangers, Everton. But you know, again, it's all down to his luck and how he can stomach the pressure of the Premier League. Next up we have who I think should be an 82, and that's Jelavic. I think he's just so good. If you go by anything he did last year, then he definitely deserves an 82, maybe even an 83. Like Cisse, he was absolutely amazing when he came in January. Papi Cisse, not Dribbel. Well, Dribbel. I can't pronounce that. Dribbel Cisse of QPR was good as well, so Papis was a bit more. But Jelavic had that same effect, really. He was just an explosion of goals, really. 9 goals in 13 games was pretty damn impressive. That ratio is crazy. That's, you know, better than Thierry Henry at some points when Henry was at his prime. It's an absolutely crazy amount to get, and I think he definitely deserves that. He was consistent, and that consistency I think deserves him to be an 81, an 82, an 83. One of the better strikers in the Premier League, really, because he had that kind of record. He was consistent, and he did score goals, and he never. It wasn't form. I don't think it was just pure ability, and it was the same fact that he had that eye for goal when he scored against the Republic of Ireland for Croatia. So that concludes that, guys. This is the Everton team. Again, guys, this is just a collaboration of Everton I did speak to a couple of Everton fans, and I'm not David Moyes, so I don't know if they're going to play a 4-4-1-1 or not. But this is roughly what some Everton fans and I think the team will look like next year. So thanks guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode.